When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj. Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. I'm your guest host, Becca Spahr. In real life, I'm a speaker and likability coach who helps leaders find the courage to be likable by teaching them the benefits of a positive leadership mindset. But today, I'm excited to guest host another episode of the Dr. Raj Podcast. Today, we'll be talking about a very unique application of artificial intelligence, which is using AI to help with parenting challenges. Our guest today is Dr. Eduardo Bunge, who is a professor in the psychology department at Palo Alto University and also the co-founder and CEO of a company called Parente AI. Eduardo, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I'm excited to have you here. I'm really excited to talk about what I think is a pretty new way to use AI. Many of us are getting used to having AI as a part of our everyday lives. Lots of people use Siri or Alexa or ChatGPT, but now you are kind of leading the way in applying it in a behavioral health sense to help parents get through some challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges you find that parents face when they're trying to manage their child's behavior?
Well, there are many, not just one, but probably the number one thing that will come to every parent's mind is screen time. When we do presentations, I say, okay, what would you like us to cover today? 80% of the questions are about screen time. And screen times, as you know, these devices can be very engaging. And to get our children out of the device sometimes takes a while. And knowing the correct strategies make a big difference. It's not to say that screen is bad. There's plenty of things that are very positive, and kids learn lots of positive things on screens. But sometimes not to go to the excessive use. I think that that's a challenge that many parents have to deal with today.
What kind of behavioral problems could result from having too much screen time?
Well, screen time, if it impacts in sleep patterns, for example, you will have probably disruptive behaviors the following days, right? Mm-hmm. Or mood problems in the following days. But what typically happens is that there's this power struggle between parents and children in which they want to use more time and parents want them to stop using it. And that power struggle usually impacts the relationship between the parent and the child. And once you as a child are very annoyed with your parents, whatever they do, even if they do the right things, it's going to be harder for you to do it. So we need to find ways of solving that power struggle in a more positive way that leads to more positive interactions, so that next time that you ask your child, hey, give me the phone, they give it to you, right?
Why do you think that parents struggle with that power dynamic that you just mentioned, where it's like they know that they shouldn't be allowing so much screen time, but they don't know what to do about it? Why is that?
I think that sometimes as parents, we learn the wrong strategies. So here's a typical example, and probably 90% of the parents will relate to this. I even relate to this because I sometimes do it myself, right? I'm preparing dinner. My child is in the living room with his phone or with the computer or whatever device. And I scream, hey, dinner is ready. What happens? They don't come. They keep on doing it. Like every parent will nod to this situation, right? We know that giving an instruction from very far away usually does never work, right? The other thing that happens is they are very engaged with that. And coming to dinner is not something fun. So one way of solving this thing is get close to your child, get eye contact first, give the instruction in a calm way, right? Stay there. And once they start doing it, praise them. Now, I was mentioning we learned the wrong strategies. What we typically do is after telling them, hey, dinner is ready, and they don't come, we start screaming louder and louder.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go and we take out the phone out of them and say, hey, what are you doing? And there is where we learn, quote unquote, right, that if I don't take the phone in a rude way, he doesn't comply.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't learn alternative ways that could be more effective, that does not necessarily end in a fight or an argument with your child. So because we learn those wrong behaviors, we keep on doing them again and again. So then we have parents that are kind of nagging all day long their children with stop doing this, stop doing that, right? And they don't realize that it's better to reinforce what the child is doing good. There's a very simple way of putting it. You have 24 hours a day, right? If you spend 12 hours doing the wrong things and 12 hours doing the right things, yes, you can try to decrease the 12 hours of wrong things. Or you can increase the 12 hours of the positive things.
Mm-hmm.
And the more time you are behaving well, the less time you are misbehaving. To put it in a very concrete example, your children, let's say they fight between each other all day long, right? You're preparing dinner and they are in the other room fighting. Now, if you are able to engage them in helping you preparing dinner, they are behaving well and they are not fighting by themselves in the other room. So the more time you get them to collaborate, the more time you get them to comply, the less you will have to fight with the disruptive behaviors.
Mm-hmm. So you're finding a way to replace the disruptive behavior with a positive behavior. Exactly. So you mentioned, that maybe parents don't learn. Well, I think you learn how to parent through trial and error. You learn while you're doing it. And in years past, when people lived, and I'm really talking about American people, lived in multi-generational households more commonly, or they had a lot of siblings, you learned to parent by watching your parents parent your younger siblings, or you had your own parents in your household as the grandparents so that you could ask questions and see how they did it. But it's not that way anymore. And unfortunately, children don't come with an instruction booklet. So how do we learn how to parent besides just being in the trenches and doing it as we're doing it?
Good question. We typically said that in order to drive a car, you need to pass an exam, right?
Yes.
But in order to manage your children's life, which is the most valued thing you have, there's nothing that you...
So that's true.
we developed an AI platform to help parents specifically with this, right? Our platform is designed to help parents of children ages 12 and under. And the idea is that we wanted to focus on that age range because it's where you can see the most benefit of these interventions. And you can see that the benefits sometimes last like 15 years after learning these skills, right?
Wow.
So as parents, learning some skills at the age, let's say your child is 3, 4, 5 years old, if you learn some skills at that age, you can prevent depression, anxiety, criminal behavior, school dropout, mental health services usage in the future. So there's so many benefits associated to learning these skills that we want to say, hey, we should not wait for people to get depressed to intervene. Mm-hmm. We should start doing something here. And there's something very important. If you help one parent, help one child, you're actually helping the whole family. Because what they learn with one child, they can use it with the other child.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the most important thing in parents' life? Their children, right?
Of
If
course.
your children are flourishing, right, your well-being is going to be positively impacted.
Yes, yes. So why is it that when we're learning to parent, we have maybe what we would think of as traditional parenting approaches, or what just comes naturally to you? Like you just described, you're making dinner, you say, come to the table, the kid doesn't come, so you go and snatch the phone. Why do those approaches that come naturally to us why are they not right? And they fail sometimes when it comes to actually dealing with behavioral issues.
Well, let me say something before that. Is why do we react to the negative things and don't react to the positive things, right? It's like we are designed to react when something bothers us.
Yes.
When things are working well, sometimes we don't even notice them. And that's the number one thing that we need to change sometimes is, hey, I'm focusing always on the negative things. We like to tell the parents, think of your relationship with the child as with a supervisor at your work or a boss, right? If your boss is constantly telling you the wrong things, how do you feel towards that boss? Now, if you have a boss that's more encouraging, that helps you when you're doing the wrong things, that praises you when you do the right things, you're going to work more motivated to that boss, right? So that's something I think that's prior to your question about that is, why do we react this way? Now, can you repeat your question again, please?
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is parents have a natural way of reacting. It's just whatever's coming to them in the moment. But what you're saying is that oftentimes that isn't the best way to handle the situation. So,
got it.
Yeah. So like, why do we react that way if it isn't the best way to do it?
Okay. So why do we react that way? There are many examples and many explanations, right? There's not just one size fits all for parents and for families, right? Some parents have more like what we call like a short fuse. Their temperament is that way, right? And they're more impulsive and they kind of react and then they think, right? Some parents have been learning throughout time, right? Like the wrong strategies, as I was saying before, right? When you explode as a parent, sometimes your child stopped doing what he was doing that he was bothering, right? So you learn, if I don't explode, he won't react, right? And those type of things are problematic because whenever you have like negative interactions with your child, they will start perceiving you in a negative way. And you start getting into a negative cycle of conflicts or a downward spiral in which I don't like you, then you ask me to do X, Y, or Z, and I don't want to do it. And then I get more annoyed, and then I shout louder, and then I don't like you. It gets worse and worse, right? So that's why we need to prevent this type of negative interactions, which is not to say that you should not set limits, right? Sometimes people confuse being nice with letting them do whatever they want. There are different parenting styles, and the parenting style that typically works better is the authoritative style, which is you're calm, but you're also firm. You can say there's no more TV in a very calm manner and stay there and try to implement it, right? And actually do it. Or you can shout, you won't watch TV anymore, right? But then the kid keeps on watching TV. So that is like very temperamental, but very flexible. That usually doesn't work that well.
Because that speaks back to that power struggle. You're leading with like an element of fear and like, do as I say, I'm getting loud, I'm making you listen to me. And it might work in the short term sometimes until the child figures out that they can get around it. They can just continue to not do what you say.
Yes. And the most important thing is that we're missing, what do we do when we tell our child to stop the phone and he does it? Because there is where you can work the most and where you will see that you will start engaging in a positive cycle of interactions. Because parents typically say, no, my child is always misbehaving. So really always, let's get throughout the whole day and let's see all the things that happen during the day. There's plenty of things that children do naturally that parents don't even notice it or that they don't value it. I always tell parents, I have like 50% of the parents complain that their children have a hard time with the bedtime routine, for example. The other 50% have no problem with bedtime routine. but they have problem with brushing their teeth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, so when your child brushes your teeth, what do you do? But that's normal. Well, no, that's normal for you. We have plenty of parents that struggle a lot with that, right? And when your child goes to sleep perfectly well, that's normal. What really matters is that they have to brush their teeth. Well, you have other parents that are struggling with that. It's like we tend to minimize what our children do, and we tend to react to the negative interactions.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we start having these negative cycles.
So it sounds to me like praise is a very important element of this. Can you talk to me about how parents can use praise to help their children to meet their expectations for behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. Praise is something very important, not only for your child, but also for you, right? When people praise you, how do you feel?
Good.
You feel good, right?
Yeah.
Now, we had parents telling me, hey, Pat is the agent that lives in our platform. Pat started telling me, oh, you're doing so great with your work, or you're doing so much progress, that I realized, oh man, it feels good when you are praised. So then I started praising my child, right? And this was a woman that's a grandmother. So she started praising her child that was 40 years old. and also her grandson that lives with her, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm realizing, and the most powerful thing was I praised my grandchild. He looked at me and he smiled. And that for me was, oh my God, I've never done this before. I was always criticizing, right? So yes, praise is something very important. And it's also something that you have to do consistently. And I'm telling this because if you're a parent and you're listening to this, you'll tell me, but I praised my child and his behavior didn't change. Yes, because it's not about praising one time. It's about being consistent.
Okay.
We make the analogy on parenting and going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym once a month, would you see a change in how you feel? Probably not, right? But if you go consistently, you will start seeing benefits.
Right. So you have to get the reps in when you're parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I find that as humans, we all have needs. We all have needs, and some of those needs are for attention. And for children, attention is big because it helps them to feel secure when their caretakers are giving them attention, because then they know that you'll be there to meet their needs. And so some children will try to get, if they can't get good attention, praise, they will try to get negative attention because at least it's attention. And so, right. So some kids act up because they just are trying to make sure that somebody's still there looking at them, paying attention to them. But of course that can become, if you do have a child like that, that can become very, very overwhelming for parents quickly.
Yes. So every attention is a reinforcer. Whenever you attend to your child, even if it's positive or negative, you're reinforcing their behavior. Mm-hmm. If I clean up the table and you smile at me and say, thank you for cleaning up the table, you're attending positively to something that I did. Mm-hmm. And I would do it again. If you ask me to leave my phone, I left my phone, but I say, oh, or I roll my eyes, right? And you say, don't roll your eyes, right? Or stop whining. That's attention. That's negative attention for something negative. Mm-hmm. But that attention will reinforce me whining or complaining whenever I drop the phone, right? So something very challenging for parents is, hey, we tell them sometimes there are some minor negative behaviors that's better not to engage and to ignore so that they fade away. Because if they keep on getting attention, they will keep on happening. Now, there's an interesting analogy that after doing therapy and parenting for many years, I learned this from our own platform. That is the analogy of the elevator. If you go into an elevator and you want to go to the 5th floor and you press the button to go there and the elevator doesn't go, what do?
Push the
button. You get annoyed and you push the button again and again and again and again and again until you realize, oh, this is not working. So then you get off the elevator and you use the stairway, right? So that moment of increased behavior of you pushing the button, right? That's called extinction burst. So whenever you want to ignore a behavior and you want that behavior to go away, it will go through a moment in which it may get worse. And parents don't know that. So they end up exploding. And then that is like the biggest reinforcer that you can have for that behavior. So it's important to learn that when you want to ignore a mild negative behavior, we're not talking about aggression here. You need to know that your child may insist harder at the beginning. So basically it gets worse before it improves. That's the concept.
Okay, so important for parents to keep that in mind so they don't just give up and they try it once and then give up because it's not working. They need to stick with it, is what you're saying.
When you give up, it's like the slot machine. Is it called slot machine in the casino?
Yes.
It's like when the slot machine gives you the whole reward, right? When you give up after a while, that is usually it's called intermittent response. And that is something that reinforces your child's behavior a lot. So you want to be calm, firm, and don't give up.
Got it. I would imagine that's hard for people to keep in mind when they're in the middle of some argument or some very heated interaction with their child. It's been days and days that bedtime isn't working, and they're kind of just at the point that they're losing their minds. So now parents are starting to turn to AI to help them through these difficult circumstances. Tell me about what that looks like in terms of what is available to parents in terms of AI that they can use through these challenges.
So what we developed at Parent AI is a platform that can be used by parents by themselves, right, as a standalone, or they can use it together with a therapist. If they have a therapist, they can work together, right? And what the platform does is basically three main things. One is it delivers what's called parent management training. It teaches you skills, one after the other one, that have a logical sequence that it's better if you follow that sequence, right? It's like you go to the gym, you don't start with the heaviest weight, right? You go like, okay, let's start simple. The other thing that it does, it provides in-the-moment support. This is exactly what you were saying. Hey, I'm in the middle of like a power struggle with my child. What can I do, right? Sometimes taking a step back, asking Pat, hey, I'm in this situation. What should I do? Pat can help parents right there. And sometimes the help is, hey, until you don't calm down, don't go back to interact with your child because it won't be positive, right? Let's be sure you calm down, and then we'll try something that will help you be more calm, firm, and that will be effective, right? And the third thing that does is it kind of follows up with you. So if you've been talking about, hey, I'm having a real hard time connecting with my daughter, I can't play with her, she's always kind of with a bad mood. Let's say that Pat teaches you how to do something called special time. At the following days, we'll send you emails or notifications saying, hey, Rebecca, how are you doing? Are you being able to connect with your daughter doing X, Y, and Z? So it's a very personalized kind of follow-ups that the platform does. So it's not just waiting for you to, I can go and check with Pat. So Pat kind of follows up with you to ensure that you apply the techniques consistently.
So Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat is the name of the bot that you as the parent are interacting with on the app in order to get this coaching and advice on how to handle the behavioral situations. Is that right?
Exactly. Pat is an agent. We call it agent.
Okay.
It's a conversational agent, so you can chat and has this program where Pat guides you and it teaches you like if it were just an expert teaching you just for you and your child, right? And has the section on the extra support when you can say, hey, we had parents saying like any kind of thing, such as, my child has ADHD. This is because I'm a bad parent. And parents say, well, no. Let's understand the causes, right? There are some neurobiological aspects, there are genetical things. Or we have parents saying, hey, my child is throwing a tantrum right now. What should I do, right? And having the support in the moment for the parents is key. And that's something that didn't happen in therapy years ago. Therapies are only 50 minutes a week available.
Right.
So we like the idea of having parents having therapy and also the in-the-moment support. And then that work being integrated in your next therapy session, right? If you don't have a therapist, you can still use it by yourself. I typically like to say that the ideal combo of an expert human and an expert AI is the best, right? But not everyone has the privilege of accessing a mental health professional. So you can still access PAT by yourself.
Yeah, but how phenomenal too, because I mean, I've been through this, myself, and like you said, you go to therapy, but it's maybe once a week for less than an hour, or maybe it's every 2 weeks or even every month. And like, what about all those moments when you're really in the thick of it and you're thinking, what do I do right now? And so to have a helper in your pocket, to have Pat to ask questions to and get feedback on, and even just what do I do? I feel like is just invaluable, that so many parents would get a lot out of. What are you seeing research-wise as far as the benefits of using Parente AI?
So we're submitting the first study that we finished 2 months ago. We're submitting it today. So this is like a very important scoop for you.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So we did a study in which, after 2 months of using the platform, we saw that parents reported that their children were behaving better, but also that their emotional symptoms were better. Parents also reported a decrease in their parental depression, anxiety, and stress levels, which is technically, this intervention is aimed to improve your child's behavior. But when your child behaves better, you feel better yourself, right?
Of course.
The other thing that they report is an increase in parenting self-efficacy, is how confident are you that you can do something to manage your child? And the fact that I feel more confident because I learned the skills is very important. And the other thing that they reported, that this is like mind-blowing to me, is they reported a strong therapeutic alliance with PAT. They feel respected by PAT. They feel that they were working together, and they felt like they agreed in the strategies and tasks that PAT was providing them. This concept of therapeutic alliance is usually what you feel when you go to a therapist and you like the therapist and you think that everything makes sense with what you're doing with the therapist.
Yeah, that idea of having rapport with your therapist and feeling like you connect and you can work together is so important. And I think a lot of people, when they don't hit it off with their therapist or feel like they connect, they end up just giving up on therapy, which of course can be more damaging. But tell me about how Pat learns to be able to interact with a person so that Pat fits with the parent and the family and the child.
Pat has been trained by a group of experts. The other co-founder is Antonio Hardan, who's the chief of child psychiatry at Stanford. Myself, and I've been doing this for many years in the research field at Palo Alto University. And we've been training the model to apply a specific treatment protocol, right? And within those steps, one of the steps is you need to collect the profile of what's going on in this family. You need to understand this family, and you need to set the goals with the parents. So I will tell you, okay, Rebecca, what are your main challenges, right? Okay, what would you like to see happening? Let's put concrete behaviors that you can actually achieve, right? Because we're going to work towards those behaviors. And once Pat has that memory of you, we'll walk you through all the techniques trying to help you achieve your goals. So it's not a generic AI that will talk about whatever they want. It's going to be very tailored towards your own needs.
It's learning as it goes, so it can help you even more. Yeah. Tell me about like who is like your typical user who's thinking, I have these challenges, I'm kind of at the end of my ability to deal with it, and I need to take like whatever the next step is. What do those families look like?
Typical users are parents of children ages 12 and under with disruptive behavior, like defiance, not following directions, arguing all the time, being rude, fighting with the siblings, what we call in mental health, some diagnoses that are related to these type of behaviors are oppositional defiant disorder, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, intermittent explosive disorder. But you don't need to have a specific diagnosis of a disorder, right? Is if as a parent you feel like you are struggling a lot with your child's behaviors, then that's like a good fit for Pat. if you have, let's say, a teenager with eating disorders, that's something different, and PAT's not designed for that.
Okay.
Well, when people think of AI, think of something that's absolutely powerful that can do whatever they want. And in fact, what we did is we trained it to do something very specific to help a specific set of parents, not all parents in the world, right?
Mm-hmm. But still, that could reach millions and millions of people who are in that 12 and under age range, both without diagnoses and with diagnoses. Just a challenge in general, where they feel like they could use a little bit of extra help.
Yeah, well, in US, you have 72 million parents of children ages 18 and under. And our estimation is that 14 million parents have a child with disruptive behavior. So,
wow.
Yep.
Wow. Now, what about it's always so important to consider like all of the interested adults in a child's life, because kids are at home and they're exhibiting these behaviors. Kids are at school and they're exhibiting these behaviors. Is there a way that Parente AI, like how would it collaborate between like parents, teachers, and therapists to see the whole picture of the child?
So when you, let me clarify one thing. You can access Parente AI as a parent by yourself. You go to the website and you access it, right? Mm-hmm. There's another way of accessing Parente AI in which the mental health professional invites you.
Okay.
So the mental health professional have access to all the things that you do with PAT. So as a therapist, I would tell you, okay, Rebecca, I can give you just 50 minutes a week, or I can give you 50 minutes a week, but you don't need to wait for the next session to learn skills, because PAT can teach you some skills. Mm-hmm. And PAT can also help you when you need it. And I will review all your work. So our next 50 minutes are going to be way better. Right? So that's a way in which the therapist can really benefit of using Parente with the parents. And there's something important that happens, that many child therapists tend to focus their work in the child. But the evidence shows, and there's like overwhelming evidence, it's not some, that when you have children ages 12 and under with disruptive behavior, you should work with the parents, because they are the most influential person in the child's life, mm-hmm. because they are with them all day long. And we're only 50 minutes a week with mm-hmm. your child. So if I teach you some skills and you implement them, you're going to see probably way better outcomes than if I talk with your child for a whole year. And we see that very frequently, that child therapists have like this habit of working more with the child than with the parents.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense, because you think, oh, my kid has a behavioral problem, I will take them to the therapist to fix the child, when really the root of the behavior might be coming from somewhere else. And the parents need to learn just as much as, or more than the child does.
Yeah, very important distinction when we talk about the root of the behavior. We don't say that there's one explanation only, and we don't think that it's the parents, mm-hmm. the ones that are causing. Like there's multiple factors that are combined together. Like there's child characteristics, right? There's parental mm-hmm. characteristics. There are the consequences that the child has by the things that they do, the environment in which yes. they are, right? So if your child was born with a specific genetic, it may be more challenging, right? Mm-hmm. Your child is more hyperactive, it's more challenging for you to stay calm, right? It's very easy to stay calm if your child is a sweet angel that's always calm, right? So it's not just one or the other one. And it's proven that there's a bidirectional influence, that children influence the child's behavior and parents influence the child's behavior too, right? Children influence the parents' behavior, and parents influence the children's behavior too.
Right. And there's so much pressure to be a good parent. So maybe I think a lot of times parents think, oh, this is all my fault, when really, as you just said, it's very complex and has a lot. There's so many factors that go into how a child is behaving and learning how to behave and learning what their behavior accomplishes and all of that. But so when parents are sitting there thinking, oh, I'm a bad parent, I would think that having a therapeutic relationship, either through a person or through AI, can be helpful to kind of bring the parents back so that they can have a better understanding of what's really happening.
Yeah. So the idea of thinking that you're a bad parent would probably it will probably lead you to feel worse.
Right.
And once you feel worse, you will probably do less of what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So even chatting, having those conversations with parents, right? Hey, what makes you think that you're a bad parent? The fact that you're here surprises me because my parents typically would not be here, right?
Right.
So I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind. And sometimes for human beings in general, it's hard to control their own emotions, for example, right? So then do you pretend that you can control your child's emotions completely by yourself? That's like, what are you, Superman, right? Superhero. So human beings, we come to this world with our own challenges. We do the best that we can. We typically say these interventions don't change completely who you are, but they make you function better, right? They help your child function better. But if your child is hyperactive, you will probably still be hyperactive. The difference is you won't be fighting as much. You will start having way more moments of positive interaction with your child.
It's a hopeful message, to think that there are ways to make this easier when you're thinking this is so difficult right now. Talk to me a little bit about what is coming in the future of AI as these technologies continue to advance. What's next for Parente AI on this journey?
Well, we're hoping to actually support all parents who have children with mental problems, mental disorders, right? So far we're focusing ages 12 and under, but we would like also to extend it to teenagers. Would also like to have like specific programs for parents of children that are anxious, right? Or for parents of teens with depression, or parents of teens with eating disorders. So, or parents of children with autism spectrum disorders, right? So we've seen so many parents kind of literally crying in my office saying, I can't find a therapist, right? I can't get help. And our goal was to do Parente AI to provide help for all those parents, because we know that 50% of the mental disorders in the world start before age 14. So if we can prevent that, we're going to be doing the biggest benefit to the mental health in the world possible.
I think that this is really groundbreaking for the mental health community and for parents. And I don't say that lightly. I think that's a word that a lot of people, throw around. Oh, this is so new and exciting. But to me, I don't know that I've really heard of anything like this before. So it's exciting to know that there are other options for parents to find help, rather than either just struggling through it or going a more traditional like therapy only kind of scenario that now you and your team have developed this very powerful tool that has already started to help so many people, and I hope will help more in the future. Thank you so much for taking your time today. I appreciate, I know you're a busy guy with so many exciting things going on. So thank you. And to the listeners, there is more information in the show notes so that you can take a look at the Parente AI website and learn more. Eduardo, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.